Have you ever wondered what these two are for? Add shared list item and update shared list item. In today's video, we're going to talk about Zervicepoint lists and what they are for and how to use them. So Zervicepoint list is basically in the back end SQL list that you may find useful in some scenarios. Typically, we don't like to store master data in Zervicepoint, but in some cases, customers have requested that we store data within Zervicepoint for their implementation. So we'll create a small example here. Let's go ahead and create a grouped activity. And we'll call that, no, not a grouped activity, a shared process. And we'll call it order article. So just bear with me here. I'm just going to create a shared process for ordering hardware. And we need to have some kind of delivery information, such an address. Oops. Gonna go with name. We need to have variable. Let's go with street and zip code and city. Street as identifier and variable, zip and city. Save. Good. And then we need to multiply this by using this process in multiple services. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the setup form and say article number. NO. Article NO. Let's go with that. Just strange that the abbreviation of article number is article NO. Strange. Very strange. Save and publish. And we can create a service from this. And let's start. We'll need to find our shared process here, order article, and let's go with iPhone 3. iPhone 3. And we can set all the costs. Let's say it's 300 space bucks. Article number IP3. I don't know. Sounds right to me. I'll create that. And we check the user web. And here's the iPhone 3. Let's add another one. iPhone 4. This isn't an old video, by the way. I'm just using old models. I don't even know what they're called today, so. Well, I know they continue the number series, but I don't remember how far they went with that. iPhone 4 create. Go back here, and we have an iPhone 4. We don't have a cost on that. Maybe we should have a cost on that as well. So it's a little bit more expensive. Let's say 400 space bucks. Okay. Now we have a cost. I want these to be pre-filled just for my convenience. Default value. and default value, a made up zip. Dish. Refresh. Good. Okay, so we're in our process. Now what I want to do is every time someone orders an article, I want to put that in store that in a data structure, such as a table in our case. And for that to work, well, first we can try to do it. We can go to the workflow editor here, and we can say that we want to add a shared list item. Okay, so there's some required fields here. And we need to choose a list. And we have an order. Okay, I haven't removed that one. That I should have done that before the video. So let's remove that one. So that just proves that I do some preparation for these videos, which you probably already figured out. So like that, I removed the list. So what do I do now? I must create the list using our API. So we don't have any interface to do that here in Zervicepoint yet. If this feature starts to get very much used and popular, we have said that we should add that. But as we sort of have developed this in an agile way, we just started with okay, we said that you only get the API route to start. So you can create it with the API, and then you can use these activities to do stuff with the list. So I need to define all the columns that I want to have in my list first. So we have an order ID, we have a requester, we have article and state. So I'm doing an order table where I just put all the hardware orders, and we can do something with the list afterwards if we'd like. Typically people want to have this kind of feature because they add hardware orders to a list, and then they have some kind of service that extracts order from the list and combine them on order date and on to get one package, and only need to pay for one delivery instead of firing off every single hardware order, because it can be more expensive if you order one delivery for each small piece of equipment. In my case, I think I need these columns, and then I just send these columns into the new ZPList commandlet. I name the table orders and the columns I've specified before, and then key and URL for the API. And I specified the pass-through switch because I want to work with the list afterwards. So I want to have the identifier for the list, if you will. Okay, so I run these rows, and if we look at the list now, we have our columns here. We have a unique identifier, which can be useful later. And if we go in here now, and we can't save here, so we just do that, and we refresh. We go to the workflow editor, and we add shared list item. And now we have our orders list here. And order ID, I'm going to bind that to system order ID, and requester, I'm going to bind that to system requester email. And article, well, we have the article number from our shared process setup form. So that's something they specify each time they create a new service using this process. And the state, we're not going to bind that. We just write added as a state. Save and publish. Neat. And if I have done everything correctly now, I should be able to order iPhone 4. Let's add iPhone 3 as well. And then I should be able to get these list items. But to do that, I need to use the API as well. So we don't have It would be neat with a table view here in the admin web where you can just see the data being populated and you can fiddle with the data and update state or whatever on each row. But we haven't added that yet. So if you really feel strongly for the Zervicepoint list feature, I suggest that you scream in our channels and we'll add that for you. Okay, so let's have a look. I can get the data like this. Get ZPList item, and we send in the unique identifier for the list. And then I look on the data property. And boom. So if I write data dot data and 0, here's the the last one actually, IP4, so that's iPhone 1. But I ordered that first, I guess, iPhone 4 I mean. And they're both in state added. That's fine. What about the other activity? Update shared list item. Let's work with that as well, because perhaps we have some stuff here in the middle. Let's say do stuff. And once we have done stuff, we'd like to update the list. Okay, so which item would we need to update? Well, we want to update the item related to this order, or the order that the active order. And then you have this one here, output item ID 2. So we need a new variable for that. I'm going to go ahead and create item ID, table item ID. Let's go with that. And we bind that there. Okay, so when it added this item, it will throw back to you in this variable the ID of that item. And then we can say here that update the item in this table, this item in this table. And we just want to set state perhaps to completed. Save and publish. And I'm gonna order an iPhone 3 again. So I refresh the page and I just order it. We go back in here. I wait. And then I click. And here you can see that the last one we ordered have state completed. So in that way you can work with both these activities to update your list items. If we look on data, and the way you look at specific fields here are this way. Order ID. I don't know if you can see this properly. Let's zoom in, enhance. So I can type like this because it's an array of dictionaries or an array of hash. Yeah. Yeah, so that sums it up. You can work like this to get your to have a list stored within the Zervicepoint database with the different columns and data types, and then you can work with the API to extract data from it, and you need to set up the table in the API before you start using it in your processes. Goodbye.